Hello and welcome to the Steering the Ship podcast, where we explore how Springfield Township employees create positive experiences for residents, businesses, and visitors. SHIP is an acronym for Service, Hospitality, Innovation, and People. I'm your host, Robert Leininger. Some of you may know me from my previous role as Springfield Township Fire Chief. I am excited to welcome you to our very first podcast. Here in Springfield Township, our goal is simple: to turn everyday interactions into moments that matter most. Whether someone calls for assistance, visits a township office, attends a community event, or simply travels through our community, those experiences shape how they view Springfield Township. That's what Springfield Township hospitality is all about. It means delivering government services with professionalism, competence, empathy, kindness, and respect. Today, I'm joined by someone who exemplifies those values every day. He has spent nearly a decade serving our community, building relationships, solving problems, and helping keep Springfield Township safe. Officer Malik Clark.
Thank you, Chief.
Before I ask you to introduce yourself, Malik, to our listeners, I want to thank you for serving as Master of Ceremonies at the 2026 Springfield Township Shippies Award Ceremony. Being an MC, I know, is just one of your many talents. For those who may not know you, tell us a little bit about yourself and your amazing journey into law enforcement.
Well, first, thank you all for having me here. Like you said, my name is Malik Clark. I am a police officer here at Springfield Township Police Department. I am 31 years old. I was a resident of Springfield Township since I was a kid. I started off as a police explorer with the Springfield Township Police Department at the age of 13. After that point, I became a clerk for Coleraine Township Police Department before becoming a dispatcher for Springfield Township Police Department in 2015, September 11, 2015 to be exact. From that time, I became a police officer in just 2020, was it 2025? 2025, time flies by. It's almost been a year already. It does. I've been a police officer for approximately 8 months now, and I enjoy protecting and serving the community, which I grew up in. I'm also a realtor. I've been doing that for 4 years, and I'm also a licensed minister, and my church is also here in Springfield Township. So I have deep ties to Springfield Township. Again, my family lives here. I grew up in Springfield Township. I've been a part of this department for ages. My mother, she even says that there is no Malik without Springfield Township, so because I've been around for so long.
So true?
Yes.
Well, you and I have that in common. I grew up in Springfield Township, still live here today, raised my children here, so I can relate. So, Malik, I'm curious. I'm sure you've had opportunities to work at other police departments, yet you've chosen to remain here. What has kept you here in Springfield Township?
Certainly. Well, again, I worked at Coleraine Township for about a year. I liked Coleraine Township. Coleraine Township, they were busy. When I was there, I worked there as a cadet while I was going through the academy at that time there. But the culture here at Springfield Township is bar none. It's way different than any other department that I've ever been a part of or seen or worked with. You know, everybody here is like family. The culture here, I love the culture. I love the people that I work with. They treat us like family. And I think that's huge here.
Well, you mentioned culture.
Yes, sir.
Now, are you talking about the internal culture of working here and interacting with other employees? Or are you speaking of the residents and the relationship you have with residents? Or it might just be both?
I would say both of them.
Okay.
One, because, again, I've been here for so long. I've been here at Springfield Township Police Department since I was 13, 14 years old. And I've met so many officers. I've seen people come and go through the department. But I think the culture within the department is amazing. Within the township as a whole is amazing. I'd like to see how the police department works with the fire department, how the fire department works with public works, and everybody seems to get along with each other. Everybody helps each other out. If I'm on a call, I can call public works. I can call Scott Chardon directly and say, "Hey, I need barricades," and he sends somebody out right away. Some people would have to go through different chain of commands
Sure.
and things of nature, but it's easier to be able to call somebody directly and get that help that you need. And then with the residents in the community, again, I go to church here in Springfield Township, and then half of the church community, half our parishioners are members of Springfield Township. So being able to communicate with them, to be able to talk with them, and then living in Springfield Township and going to school with a lot of people in our community, I know a lot of people in the community, so it's easy to deal with the people that we protect and serve.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I know when you know someone, it's easier to comfort them.
Yes.
Because right away you've got that personal relationship. I know being born and raised and grown up in Springfield Township, there were a lot of people that we served. I either knew them growing up or I went to school with their kids. And so seeing a familiar face in an emergency situation brought comfort, and I know that that's so true with police as well. One of the things that I love so much about being in the fire service in Springfield Township is I was on a first name basis with the police officers. A lot of the police officers, we play softball and various things together, and so, and you never felt that it was we, they. There wasn't animosity. It was always a team, and we were doing what was best for the community.
Yes.
And most of the time we respond together.
We do.
Most of the time you get the call first.
Yes.
And then they dispatch the fire department. And I remember often where I'd get to a scene and the police officer would be inside getting somebody out of a burning building before we even arrived to get there. So
let it be noted who the second responders are and who the first responders are.
that is so true. And we had a joke too. We had a joke that I would say, all right, if you're going to run into my fires, then I'm going to respond to your bank robberies.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, we need to trade off. But that just shows the commitment that we have to the community. The police and fire basically is one team, and we can't overlook the fact that public works is such a key part of that team.
Huge.
The snow removal and the things that they do. I remember, auto accident scenes that you're on, or whether we're on an emergency scene and it's ice covered, and we can make a request and they'll bring salt.
Yes.
And help us with the street and snow removal. So I know we can't overlook the public works. I think we have some of the best public works people
I agree with
in
that.
the country. They're just amazing. And the fact that you can pick up the phone and call the director of public works directly without going through a lot of different channels. That just expedites things and shows that that relationship is so important.
It is.
I want to talk about really hospitality.
Okay.
And that's the gist of our podcast here. Is I think we're doing something, in my opinion, that's kind of unique in local government today. We focus on exemplary customer service.
Yes, sir.
That's what we do. We always try to exceed expectations, but we've added this extra element of hospitality. And when I first heard hospitality in a government setting, the first thing I thought of was, well, we're not a restaurant, we're not a hotel.
Yeah.
So how does this apply to local government? From a police officer perspective, what does Springfield Township hospitality look like, and how can officers provide excellent service while they still carry out their law enforcement responsibilities?
Certainly. I think part of it is, number one, having active listening skills. Anytime you go to a call, being able to listen to what the person is telling you, and being able to respond with empathy, being empathetic to that person, I think is a huge role. Chris Gilbert talks about in his book, municipal hospitality, he talks about three things. People want to be seen, heard, and valued. I think that's important when you're going to a call as a police officer, because people want to feel those three things. And I realized when I start going to calls as a police officer, not just as a dispatcher on the phone, when you start listening to people, you make eye contact with that person, and you listen and you start giving solutions to those people, they feel valued, they feel heard, and they feel appreciated. So I think the question to the answer to that question is, while carrying out those law enforcement duties, active listening skills, being empathetic to people. Also think when we arrest people, when we have to arrest somebody too, because not every situation is going to end out in perfect, right? There are some situations where we have to make an arrest. We have no choice but to make an arrest, and it's going to be somebody's worst day when we make that arrest. Even in that situation, my sergeant Jim Sheeler, one thing he taught me when I was just an explorer is just because they're a criminal, you don't always have to treat them like a criminal. So one thing I would say to that is always leave that person with their dignity. Try to leave that person with their dignity. That's how you can provide hospitality while still carrying out your law enforcement duties as a police officer in Springfield Township.
That is so important, and I liked how you said that, with giving everybody their dignity, regardless of the situation. Yeah, that's so important.
I feel like, when we deal with some people, depending on their background and where they grew up at, some people didn't grow up in favorable circumstances, and in the greatest community. And some things that people only had was the respect. That's the only thing that they have. And if you take that from them, you take everything from them. And I believe that if you can just leave them with their respect and leave them with their dignity, you leave them with a lot more. And then later on down the line, if something were to occur and they were involved or they happen to see something, they're more apt to tell you, like, hey, this is what I saw. Hey, this is what's going on. They're more apt to talk to you, and they're more apt to build that trust with you as a police officer.
Well, I think that's so true for young men and women, especially even at the children age, where the first impression or the first contact with a police officer is so important.
Right.
That it's not a negative contact. You can approach them as a friend. And I know the stories that I hear all the time about police officers, they stop and they play basketball with a group of kids on the playground. Or I think one of your officers I heard recently at one of the parks was challenged to a race, and he was out there and they were racing in different things. And I know that they stop at lemonade stands.
Yes.
And
what we learned in the academy kind of centers itself around hospitality, because they talked a lot about community engagement. We did a lot of community engagement training, how to talk to the community. We did a lot of mental health training. So I would say that it wasn't really a complete, total mindset shift that I had to take, but I think it elevated my thinking and elevated my training on how to deal with the community. So I would say that it helped out and made me better at my job.
so we talked about first impressions and how important that is. And for some residents, an interaction with a police officer may be their first direct experience with local government. How important are those first impressions, and what impact can they have on public trust?
First impressions are very important. I think they say within the first 5 seconds you walk in a room that first they can get a first impression off of you. As a police officer, I think it's very important that your uniform is well maintained and put away, first of all, because when you walk in the room, you command that respect and that authority. That's one thing I was always taught as a young police explorer to now a police officer, is that your uniform means everything when you walk in a room, part of it. The other part is how you talk to people, how you treat people with respect, again, being fair, impartial, and that goes back to your question before about hospitality, being empathetic and listening to what people have to say. So I think that first impression is very important. I think it can make a lasting impact in a positive way if you do it correctly. I think that if you don't make that positive impression, especially as a police officer in the public eyes, I think it can be very negative down the line. That's something that they teach us also in the academy, is to build that public trust. Go out there and talk to the community. Be transparent with the community. Be truthful to the community. Don't lie to them. tell them the truth. They deserve the truth. Also, just go out there and interact with them. Don't be in your car all the time and just be hidden away. We are public servants and we deal with people every day. And sometimes, again, we don't deal with people always in the most favorable circumstances, but sometimes we can turn those negatives into a positive. Does it always happen? Certainly, it does not. But can we try our best to make it happen? So, yes, we can. We also started the Community Engagement Officer program as well with Officer Jamie Brooks. She does a phenomenal job. Sergeant Marty Case, he's headed that up as well. So if there's any events that they want us to attend, Sergeant Case or Officer Brooks would ask us to go to those events, whether it be at a school or whether it be at some type of business event, we will go to those events. We also have a public safety pop-up that we host in our communities. So I think
you have one coming up too.
We do have one coming up. I believe it's in Pleasant Run Farms that we have coming up here soon.
Okay.
Yes.
I see you have one scheduled also for Hollydale. So
yes.
That's great. Just another opportunity for people to come out and interact with the police officers.
Indeed it is. Yes, sir. And let me just say this too, that we also have sergeants who are assigned to different areas of Springfield Townships in the neighborhoods. So should there ever be a problem, they are like liaisons to that community. Okay. So community members can contact the police department, get in contact with that sergeant for that particular community. And if there is an issue, they can address that with their squad.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I am familiar with your kind of chain of command,
yes.
Your paramilitary type structure.
Yes.
And that chain of command is important, and not only from the police officer standpoint, but all the way up the chain of command. And Chief Niehaus and
yes.
Nick Peterson and those leaders are outstanding. And you're only as good as your people.
Certainly.
And they have surrounded themselves with great officers.
Yes.
And they just need to, and I know they just provide you the resources and the expectations and directions that you need to do your job. And they have done a good job picking those officers. One thing when you're providing hospitality, the key is to find people that have that servant heart, that have that personality, which you exemplify.
Thank you.
I mean, you were the role model right here, and this is one of the reasons why you were selected to be our first guest.
Thank you.
Because you have all the qualities that a person who is giving hospitality has. And that exemplifies what it is to be a police officer in Springfield Township. You've now served Springfield Township for almost 10 years now in various positions. What positive changes have you seen in the community and in the relationship between residents and the police department during?
I think our department, with our proactive type of policing that Springfield Township is known for, and even in the reactive style of policing, has helped out with that, and it's made the communities better. I look at Springfield Township and I see the neat streets, and we're going out there, we're cleaning up the community, and it's not just the community members, but it's the police department, public works, the fire department, other members of the community are coming together to help clean these neighborhoods up. Also, I see them fixing the roads that need to be fixed and repaired. Township is taking care of the roads. So there are so many great things, not just within the police department in itself, but within Springfield Township, within the other departments that help make the police department a better agency. Over the past 10 years, me being here as a police explorer, police dispatcher, and police officer, there are so many things that have changed, but also some things that we have in place within our department. Just notably that our department is one of the larger police departments in Hamilton County, covering approximately 16.5 square miles. I would say we are a department that is pretty self-sustainable with our detective unit. We have our traffic safety unit. We have our drone unit. We have our bike patrol unit. We have so many different units that are available to be a resource to the township, to make the township safe and a better community. And we are always doing things in the township to figure out what would be a better way to enhance our services for the members of the residents of Springfield Township. So that's why we have the drone program. And again, the drone program is for if we have a critical missing person or a missing child that we cannot find, or if officers are in a foot pursuit with somebody to be able to find them, or if there is a burglary that took place and we're able to get overhead and see what's going on with that. So there are a plethora of resources that Springfield Township offers to service the residents of Springfield Township. And again, it goes back to the question you asked me earlier, is why did I stay at Springfield Township? And again, it's because of all the resources that we offer to the residents of Springfield Township. Everything that that we can do, the capabilities that we have. Mm-hmm. Yes.
I noticed you didn't mention the canine.
Oh, canine
But
unit.
the canine is so impressive.
Yes.
Those dogs are amazing.
Yes, they are.
They intimidate me, and I know the handlers think that they're just so sweet and everything else, and they're great with people until they're told to do their job.
Yes.
And but I still give them their the respect that
Certainly.
they get. But they are amazing. They're
They
just
are.
like having another police officer.
Yes.
I mean, you treat them with respect and
Yep.
treat them that way.
Yep. And again, having that canine unit, we're able to use them as mutual aid for other agencies. If something were to happen, again, a missing person
Yeah.
or some type of crime, they can call us, say, hey, we need mutual aid, and our officers are readily available to go assist them. And then we have the honor guard unit. If there was like a Reds game or an officer killed in line of duty, we have officers readily available to aid with that. So we are an agency, not just saying our agency alone, there are other agencies in Hamilton County and in the surrounding counties who are readily available. But just speaking for my department, since I'm stingy like that, that we have those capabilities to help others who are in need. No, seriously, I think as a police officer to my fellow police officers, continue to do the job well, continue to train, never stop training, never stop learning, continue to look out for one another, and continue to treat people with professionalism, respect, be fair and impartial. To the community, we are here for you. We're one phone call away. Whatever you may need, we can assist you with it.
Malik, I want to thank you for joining us today and for your dedicated service to Springfield Township.
Thank you.
And I'd also like to thank all the officers in Springfield Township for their dedicated service and commitment to providing exemplary service and hospitality, really, for the residents, visitors, and businesses in Springfield Township. Hospitality is more than a program or a slogan. It's commitment to treating every person with dignity, respect, professionalism, and compassion. Today's conversation reminds us that public service is ultimately about people. A special thank you to Waycross Community Media for providing podcast production services and studio support. Until next time, remember, every interaction is an opportunity to create a moment that matters.